So we've got 3 factory Alfa Romeos, 2 factory BMWs, and also 3 or 4 other BMWs in independent teams, and now 4 factory-built Seat Toledo Cupras, 2 from the Spanish outfit, 1 for former British touring car champion Rickard Rydell from the Swedish importer. Rydell, a long-time Volvo touring car star, now in the Seat Toledos, as Volvo are taking a hiatus from the touring car world. And former Grand Prix driver Gianni Morbidelli driving for Seat Sport Italia. Add in Honda Civic Type Rs and brand new Ford Focus ST120s. They're towards the tail of the field. They've been developed from real production-based cars. And of course the big news story, the return of Alex Zanardi to full-time motor racing. Zanardi driving for BMW Italia Spain, one of their 2 cars, with hand-controlled throttle and using his prosthetic leg still on the brake pedal. And David Leslie, he's a man of enormous spirit, enormous capacity for racing and for life. Zanardi qualifying very strongly for his first European Touring Car Championship season. He raced here at Monza last year, really unlucky in the first chicane to get knocked out in the first race, but obviously a lot of media interest in him. He's taking it pretty easily, but I think he will be a factor as well later in the season, probably.
I think as he gets more and more used to the car, yes, he's had a good testing winter in that car. They've refined the car a lot more to make it easier for him to drive, and he's been very much on top of his game as far as getting used to this car over the winter period. And yes, he's qualified 8th, a good qualifying. He had a good second race here at Monza at the end of last year. As you said earlier on, the first race he got hit and taken out, which was a bit unfortunate. But as you said, somebody with a great deal of character. He will build on that, and I'm sure he will move forward. And while he's only qualified 8th at this moment in time, I'm sure as the year goes along he'll be qualifying nearer the front, and you'll see him much more on our TV screens.
Well, you were just watching the yellow Seats, the Spanish-built Toledos, and 4 of those in the field. A host of privateer cars as well. The Independence Trophy being led probably by the Dutch team, Carly Motorsport, with Tom Coronel, Dutch driver, and his girlfriend, Pauline Svart, in the car with the pink windscreen strip that you'll see. 3 other brightly coloured Alfa Romeos a little further down the field with a sort of pink, yellow and green colour scheme. Those are from the Italian Oregon team, which have been racing in one-make Renault-based championships for several years, very successfully, now stepping up to the big time. In fact, the field just continuing to expand in terms of quality and preparation. We've got new Fords, we've also got the Honda Civic Type Rs, we've got a host of Alfa Romeos, a slew of BMWs, and 4 of the Seat Toledos as well. But still at the front of the grid, it seems that the 2 teams that will be knocking heads are the Auto Delta factory Alfa Romeo team. This is Fabrizio Giovanardi for them in car number 2 of their 3-car lineup, and the Schnitzer factory-built BMWs. Charlie Lamb, the Schnitzer boss, and Jürgen Dirkmuller know that in terms of top speed from testing and from qualifying, they may be a little behind the Alfa Romeos, but the rear-wheel drive cars will certainly get off the line pretty sharpish, and they're hoping for some good stuff from that. On board with Alex Zanardi, car number 4, coming up to the start of the European Touring Car Championship season, and it certainly won't just be BMW fans or Italians who are wishing Zanardi well. Across the globe, a huge amount of interest in Alex's return, completing those missing 13 laps at the Lausitzring last year in enormously emotional circumstances that missed from the race, of course, in which he so nearly lost his life and lost both his legs. And Zanardi then returning here at Monza to racing at the end of last season, and now at the beginning of this, a full championship season for the first time since his Champ Car career was so drastically curtailed. So the field coming to the grid. There is the view from Alex Zanardi's car. And the Alfa Romeos on the front row of the grid. On the right-hand side of the picture, Poleman Gabriele Tarquini. On the left-hand side of the picture, as we look at it, on the driver's right, is Augusto Farfus. The first entry to the right-hander chicane gives perhaps Farfus a little advantage. Tarquini will start just an inch or 2 ahead on the staggered grid. But watch for the BMWs from row 2, and also Andy Prio on row 3. On the inside line down to the first chicane, the BMWs should start quicker. Fields assembled and away they go. The lights come into shot a little too late, but look at the BMWs already. Jürgen Dirkmuller, the red windscreen strip is the number 43 car of Dirkmuller. He qualified better. The black windscreen strip is Jürgen Müller. And further back there seems to have been a little bit of drama. Marshall's running across the grid. Somebody has hit somebody else. We'll hope that gets cleared up. They out-accelerate the Alfa Romeos and Gabriele Tarquini in 5th place, struggling with Frank Diefenbacher. There's Diefenbacher set. We're on board with Fabrizio Giovanardi, the former champion. David Leslie of BMWs, as expected, getting through. Andy Prio up to 4th from 6th on the grid. But Diefenbacher having a good start to mix it with Tarquini and with the number 2 car as well.
Yeah, certainly the front-wheel drive cars at the front have made a very bad start. Tarquini particularly bad. Farfus made a good start. That wasn't what we were expecting. Remember, this is Farfus's first touring car start, and sitting here we thought he would be actually the one making the problems, but he made an excellent start. He's running around in 3rd. Unfortunately, Tarquini has dropped a little bit. He's down in 5th with Prio in 4th, but we can see waved yellows. That's why we've got waved yellows. That's a start line incident. That's Carl Rosenblad's car.
Swedish driver's car was only just completed 32 minutes before practice began on Friday, and he has hit one of the Oregon Alfa Romeos of Salvatore Tavano. And Tavano's still in his car, waved yellow flags, and they will need a safety car to rescue the cars from the grid. So already lap 1 and the race under safety car conditions. Round 1 of the European Touring Car Championship at Monza, and a first lap safety car after a start line shunt. Salvatore Tavano in the Alfa Romeo getting away and then seemingly perhaps missing a gear or having a driveline breakage, being slammed from behind by the BMW of Carl Rosenblad. 2 laps behind the safety car. Now we get to go green. BMW's lead, but Dirk and Jürgen Müller with Augusto Farfus Jr., the Brazilian kid behind them for Alfa Romeo, slotting in between them. Will he manage to make it second under braking? No, the BMW holds on the inside, but only just. Dirk Müller leads, Jürgen Müller in 2nd place, Farfus in 3rd, Andy Prio in 4th in the BMW GB entry with the Union flag, and then the reigning champion, Gabriele Tarquini, who made a shocking getaway from pole, and behind him, the former champion, the number 2 car, Fabrizio Giovanardi, but a mistake by Jürgen Müller as he's trying to get inside Dirk Müller. Dirk Müller, the leader, hangs on. Jürgen Müller, though, has allowed himself to get along, to have the Alfa alongside, and he just holds on there. But look at the speed of Farfus off the corner, David Leslie.
Yes, he made a good exit of that corner. He's got himself beside and in front of 42. That's Jürgen Müller. Jürgen Müller's lost 2 places. He's dropped down behind Tarquini as well. And it looks like he's having a problem because he's dropped down 2 more places behind Andy Prio and Giovanardi as well. So the second of the 2 Mullers certainly going from 2nd all the way back to 6th place. But we've got the 3 BMWs, the 3 Alfa Romeos, the works cars, all up front. There was a bit of a gap at the restart back to Frank Diefenbacher with the Seat.
Well, he's just been passed. The car with the yellow windscreen strip in 7th place is the leading independent. That's Dutchman Tom Coronel in the Carly Motorsport car on board with Jürgen Müller. He's in 6th place. That's Andy Prio's BMW GB entry ahead. Dirk Müller leads the field, but it's starting to get very red in his mirrors. Red cars on one side and maybe on the other. Look at Tarquini looking to the inside. Dirk Müller sees the danger in time. He was watching Farfus on the outside line. The number 3 car holds him off as they go into the Parabolica for the second time. In fact, the first time only at racing speed. At the end of lap 1, they were already being told that there was a safety car out and they were slowing down as the start line shunt was being swept up. He leads them across the line, but the Alphas have got a top speed advantage and the aerodynamic toe now. Farfus pulls out. He's going to go the long way around into the first chicane, and there's contact between the 2 of them. He just squeaks in front. That's great aggressive racing by the Brazilian kid, and he gets the lead from Dirk Müller. Dirk holds on in the BMW ahead of Gabriele Tarquini, and the 4th place man, the number 2 car, that is the former champion. Giovanardi is right in there as well. That was an exciting move from the Brazilian, David.
Yeah, he really was hard on that. He came out of the corner quickly, had that slipstream, got himself up beside him, and really did lean on Dirk Müller to try and get past. As you said, there was a bit of contact as it happened. Luckily, there's no smoke coming off the tyres or bent bodywork in doing that. which quite often happens with these touring cars. But you can see the pressure that Dirk Muller is under at this moment in time from the Alfa Romeos.
Tarquini's inside him. Tarquini goes through on the inside, and Giovanardi queuing up, Andy Prio there, and Jörg Muller still on the back of the queue. So whatever it was, a missed gear or something, the sequential gearbox normally doesn't really allow you to do that, but something momentarily went adrift with Jörg Muller, and he went from 2nd to 6th. But now, a lap later, Alfa Romeo's 1st, 2nd and 4th, whereas BMW were 1st and 2nd at the start of the previous lap. And look at this, Giovanardi looking for a way past. Dirk Muller's trying to hedge his bets on, but down the inside into the Scari chicane, and that was a great move by Giovanardi. Look at the way the Alfa Romeo brakes, David. Fantastic.
Yes, it can really brake very late. Obviously, he's Italian and we're in Monza. He knows the circuit extremely well, and being a previous champion here, he knows all the tricks to get around this circuit and make the best out of it. He came out to the second Lesmo with a good turn of speed, was able to use that and be able to outbrake Dirk Muller into that chicane. So now we've got the Alfa Romeos 1, 2 and 3, and we know from qualifying they've been extremely quick in a straight line. And I think the BMWs will find it very difficult to get back past these three cars.
Giovanardi chasing Farfus. Now this is the real hope for the BMWs, that the kid out front holds the more experienced Chargers behind him. Can he hold? Well, Farfus on the right-hand side as the driver sees it, rushing down to the first chicane where they turn right. Tarquini's on the outside, he's giving himself and the kid plenty of room, and Farfus uses all of it, takes the racing line and holds on to the lead. Giovanardi there in 3rd place, and you wouldn't necessarily expect young Augusto Farfus to hang on. He's only 21 years old, but he's an experienced single-seater racer, came up through karting and junior single-seater ranks, and well, now he's still leading, and Tarquini dropping back a little there. And then the BMW clique behind. Dirk Muller, Jörg Muller now up ahead of Andy Prio once more, and Farfus locking up down there into the chicane, really leaving his brake ultra late. And Jörg Muller staging a renaissance. It's Dirk Muller in 4th, Jörg in 5th, Andy Prio in 6th, Tom Coronel and Frank Diefenbacher 7th and 8th in their own private little battle, and that one's a very close one as well, just to the tail of the picture. But the Alfa Romeos, David, they're pulling away from the BMWs, but they are still really fighting each other hard, and a mistake from Dirk Muller may allow Jörg and Andy Prio to get by him yet.
Yes, I think we've got two races here, one with the Alfa Romeos racing amongst each other, and then a second one with these BMWs racing amongst each other. There's about a second gap between the two car manufacturers at the moment, but closer racing I don't think you can get at the moment.
No, fantastic. It just shows that even though it's not a full factory prepared car without the latest tweaks, Andy Miller and Bart Mampey's racing team putting that BMW GB car right at the front of the field, matching the factory built cars measure for measure. Now look at this, are we going to go 3 abreast with the Alfa Romeos? This is Giovanardi's view. Tarquini alongside Farfus, can he get in front? No, he can't, and Giovanardi's inside and contact. Bodywork flying off and damage to Giovanardi's car. Has he got a puncture? It's not vibrating badly, but it's pouring smoke. He's got by. He's ahead of Tarquini, but not for long. Here comes Gabrielli, the champion, taking on the former champion, the previous season's champion. Tarquini's got the inside line, and David, when you see a fender rubbing on the tyre like that, you wonder how long the tyre will last.
Generally it doesn't last too long. With that much smoke coming off, there's a fair bit of smoke coming off there. I'm sure Giovanardi has seen that sitting inside the car. He'll see looking in his mirrors how much smoke is coming from his car, and that I'm sure will be worrying him. Tarquini's made best use of what happened at the end and managed to get himself back past there. You can see the smoke coming off Giovanardi's car. That's quite a lot, so whatever part of the bodywork is rubbing, it's certainly going to make quite a mess of that tyre.
Look what it's done to the gap between the Alphas and the BMWs though. They're nothing in it. Farfus, what a huge lock-up, really leaving it late, a little bit offline, big slide sideways there, just managed to get off the brakes and catch it in time. The leader had opened up about 1.5 seconds over Tarquini and Giovanardi, and he's lost that gap, and now look, the BMW trio have stopped fighting each other and they're right with the Alfa Romeos. Top 6 again right together. The gap between the two manufacturers has absolutely vanished on that last lap, and that's the result of the inter-Nissan rivalry between the Alfa Romeo drivers. The BMW guys are keeping their head down, towing themselves along as one car, and as a result, as you see always in the slipstream, more cars go quicker than a singleton on its own.
Yes, to get the toe off each other as they're going along, and it's great to have a teammate out there to work with. 3 Alfa Romeos together, the 2 work Schnitzers, and Andy Prio with the separate car just hooked on the back. And around behind we can see Frank Diefenbacher with a Seat running along in 7th place with Tom Cornell. They're having their own private little battle back there, and those two pulling away from the rest of the field.
Right behind them, Alex Zanardi. That was the battle for 7th and 8th. Zanardi in 9th position. With you can just see the cars ahead turning into the Parabolica, and here is Alex, better of the 2 BMW Italia Spain cars, although Antonio Garcia raced the car all last season. Zanardi already outpacing him in race 1 of the championship. Alfa Romeo, zoom, zoom, zoom across the line as quick as you like, but look at the BMWs, they're now starting to put the pressure back on, and in fact Tom Coronel's got past the Seat as well, as you see Giovanardi brake desperately late to stay ahead of the BMW challenge. And I wonder, David, a front-wheel drive touring car has to brake, steer and accelerate with the same set of tyres. The BMW balances it with accelerating, wearing the rear tyres, and the braking and steering wearing the fronts. Giovanardi's a little bit frustrated in this train. Do you think the Alfa's tyres are starting now to feel the penalty of all that abuse on the front end compared to the BMWs?
I think we've seen that in the past when the races have been much longer, but these races are very short. They're only about 8 laps long, and because of that I don't think they're going to take that much stick on the front tyres, and I think whatever they do for a quick lap at the beginning will be fairly consistent over the very short sharp race distance we've got, which is why it's so exciting. We now have this train here of 6 cars absolutely nose to tail, and yes, the front wheel drive car would normally wear its front tyres much more, but in such a short race I don't think that's going to be as big a problem as it has been in the past.
Well, I know from talking to Andy Preo at the back of this group that he only used 1 set of tyres in qualifying. You only get 8 tyres for the weekend, 4 on the car to start with, and then 2 extra replacement pairs. Now obviously those are the front tyres on the Alfas. I think all 3 Alfa drivers used a second set of tyres, which does not give them new tyres for this first race. They will have 1 chance to change a pair of tyres, and that will be for the second race. So maybe the Schnitzer guys, as was often the case last year, hung on to those new tyres as well, so they can start the race on 4 new tyres, and the Alfa Romeos possibly then starting on tyres that have already worked a little harder in qualifying. And certainly the battle with the Alfas, look at what Giovanardi's been doing, outbraking people so hard. That's been pretty tough on them as well. Whatever the reason, Farfus with a tiny gap, but the remaining 5 behind him absolutely nose to tail, and again jockeying for position.
Yeah, everyone is using their cars to the absolute limit. You can see them jumping across the curbs, taking whatever slipstream you can, as you can see here. Tarquini staying on the inside of Giovanardi to get that round that corner, trying to keep that second place away from him. But as you said earlier on, there's no team orders at this moment in time. This is the first race of the season, so it's everybody out there for themselves. It's only when it gets towards the end of the season, if you need some points in order to win a championship, then I'm sure the other drivers will back you up. But at this moment in time, it's everybody is out there for themselves, and you can see the drivers trying to overtake each other in their own teams, not just the BMWs trying to overtake the Alfa Romeos. But Giovanardi, you can see earlier on, he was getting very frustrated inside the car, waving his hand around, saying, I want to be moving forward. I know I'm faster, but trying to get past these cars, even on such a wide open fast circuit like this at Monza, is very, very difficult.
And even, as you say, with the speed, despite the tow that the leader is giving to everybody behind him. We saw on the last lap Tarquini retaking second place from Giovanardi at the end of the straight, after Giovanardi used that aerodynamic slipstream to get by him at the beginning of the straight. Straights here are so long at Monza that you've got to make a move relatively late on the straight, otherwise the other guy gets in your slipstream and tows back by you. Down into Ascari, this is where Giovanardi looks to the inside. He doesn't do it this time though, can't get past Gabriele Tarquini. And you're right, David, it's often said, isn't it, that your worst enemy on a racetrack is your own teammate, and here it seems to be very much the case. The Alfas battling each other as venomously as they would be battling the BMWs, and a little bit of picture breakup, but it doesn't change the race. The BMW's fanning out. Andy Prio looking for a place ahead of Jürg Müller, maybe of Dirk Müller, but the Alfas, 3 of them going for the lead into the final corner. It will be Augusto Farfus, though, who comes out, I think, with enough of an advantage. The kid from Brazil is going to win his first ever touring car race against the 2003 and the 2002 champions in identical machinery. Farfus wins. Monica Sips, the Auto Delta Alfa Romeo team boss, is delighted. Again, she opens the season with not a win, not a 1-2, a 1, 2, 3, a red sweep of the podium. It's a red wash for the Alfa Romeos. Farfus wins, Tarquini in second, Giovanardi in third place. Then Dirk and Jürg Müller and Andy Priaulx, with Tom Coronel, the leading independent, in seventh place, also in a BMW. Well, the two manufacturers, on paper, Alfa ahead of BMW, but David Leslie, not by much, thanks very much.
No, we said it would be a close race, and when you get slipstreaming and you can hang on to the back of somebody, then round Monza it's a very close race indeed. We've seen in the history books how close it can be round here at the end of a race, and certainly these 6 cars absolutely nose to tail, and not very far behind that, I have to say, was Tom Cornell and Diefenbacher with a Seat, and that was very impressive for those 2 cars just to hang on to the back of these works ones. And I've got to say, when it comes to this restart, the top 8 being reversed, that would put Diefenbacher on pole position. So that'll be an interesting start to the next race.
Absolutely. Always been a factor of the European Touring Car Championship in its current iteration that the top 6 and now the top 8 cars are reversed on the grid. So he who was 8th shall be first for race 2, which again puts the red cars at the back of the top 8. They'll be 6th, 7th and 8th away, with Farfus, who wins the opening race, in 8th place, and Diefenbacher with his Seat Toledo Sport will start. But behind him, look, 4 quicker starting BMWs. The Seat, like the Alfa Romeos, a front-wheel drive car, won't get away so well. 9th on the grid will be Alex Zanardi, ahead of Jordi Canet, Ricard Rydell and Gianni Morbidelli in a 3-car Seat Toledo train at the end, with Antonio Garcia, the other Italia, Spain BMW, behind them. And there the rest of the finishers, and the 2 retirements at the start line crash, Rosenblatt and Tavano.